You're listening to Everything You Think You Know Is Wrong. My goal is to help individuals like you explore various ways to fully transform your life from the inside out. Welcome back to Everything You Think You Know Is Wrong. On today's show, I have my good friend, Paul Farahvar. Paul is a comedian based in Chicago, but he travels all over the country. He has a great show called Everyone's a Lawyer. He also has a show called Drink, Date, Laugh, and Singles Only, which is on YouTube and iTunes. He is a wonderful comedian, and this conversation that we're going to have today is all about the sacrifices he had to make. He was a lawyer. He gave up his career to go all in for comedy, and I'm so excited to talk to him and talk about the path that he chose to take to get to where he is now. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to Everything You Think You Know Is Wrong. Today I have one of my closest friends, Paul Farahvar, on the show. I was just thinking about before we jumped on here, when did we meet each other? Were we like in kindergarten or were we in like fifth grade?
We met in like junior high because I'm a little older than you, but we didn't like connect until we lived right near each other later in life. And so that's when we reconnected when we were adults.
Yeah, but were we in grade school together?
No, I moved to Oak Brook where we grew up in third grade. So you would have been in like first grade, I think. So I didn't know anybody until I didn't make friends with people till like fourth and fifth grade.
I probably passed you in the hallway though.
Yeah, of course. We knew each other. We grew up in a town where everyone knew everybody. Like I knew your brother. He was a year older than me or a couple years older than me. So we all kind of everyone knew who everybody was. So
I just couldn't remember like when we actually met, but for the viewers, we've known each other like forever. So
yeah, over 20 years.
Forever and ever. So the reason I wanted to have Paul on the show is because he is an attorney. He used to handle my stuff. You still kind of do. And he decided he wanted to get into comedy. And I saw you like make such a huge transformation in your life. You like went all in. I think that's really rare to see that. And I wanted to talk to you about like the whole process, how you made those decisions and like what you've done, what it takes to make it as far as you have. Because I've watched you like kick some serious monkey ass.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that I'm here. It's kind of a weird position to be in now because all my shows are being canceled because of the virus. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely something that I'd never in a million years would have thought I would ever do. So, but yeah, I'm a full-time comedian, content provider, podcaster, all that stuff.
Wait, now did you always want to be an attorney? Because I don't think I ever asked you that.
Yeah, so it's funny because I've been doing a lot of cleaning and like reviewing all the stuff because we're cleaning out my parents' house and my house because I have a lot of time on my hands now. Mm-hmm. In eighth grade, we had to, when we graduated from our high school, you had to say, where do you see yourself when you're an adult? And I wrote attorney / politician, which is something that I did pursue for years. In college, I was a political science person. I lived in DC. I worked for presidential campaigns as a lawyer, as a campaigner, senators, everything. And I thought one day I was going to go into politics.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you were in DC, you were working on campaigns. You honestly thought that you were going to go into politics and you knew you wanted to go into law.
Yeah, I always wanted to go into law and I always wanted to be involved in politics. And I lived in DC working for Senator Bill Bradley for a year as an internship in college. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I still, when I left there, still wanted to do it. I went straight to law school after college. But along the way, I started getting into arts and entertainment and pursuing what I really enjoyed, which was music. I started playing music. I taught myself guitar, and then I started playing in bands. And then I was like, wow, this is something, maybe I can merge the two. Maybe I can do entertainment law, or maybe I could my goal, I always joke back then, was that I was going to become like a one-hit wonder and then use that platform of being a pseudo celebrity, if you will, and then go into politics or do causes that I believed in. But such did not end up that did not end up happening. So
those guitar skills didn't take you to that point, and your singing skills?
it took me to a different, it's kind of weird. I went on different paths, and I just kind of, things find you. When you ask me how did I find comedy, it's kind of like things found me in my life, where I saw something, I saw an opportunity, and I was like, okay, well, let's explore this and see how this can happen. And a lot of things happened to me right after law school that made me like look back on what I always thought I wanted to do, and whether I was doing it for myself or for others, or family. Wanted to impress get the love and encouragement of your parents. And then I started just doing introspection and just pursuing things that I thought would make me more happy. So.
And just like a little background, I feel like the neighborhood we came from, there was like tons of doctors. Most of our parents were immigrants, really hardworking business owners, doctors, lawyers, like that type of thing. So I think there was like a little bit of an expectation on our parents' parts that like they sacrificed so much to have these, big careers that we wouldn't go out and like go live in a van somewhere down by the river. That we would do something that was like appropriate to them.
Yeah, in the Persian community, because I'm Iranian, education is important. You have to get your degree. Whenever I started, even when I was in law school, I was like, I'm starting to get into music. And even in college, my dad was like, okay, as long as you just get your degree and then you can figure out what you want to do. But yeah, in our community, in the Persian community, you're either a doctor, lawyer, or like an engineer. Those are the
or
three.
You'll like bring shame onto your family.
Yeah, you would shame I'm shaming my family right now big time. But
okay.
But it was just something that I kind of did. But I actually enjoyed the law. And being a lawyer, people are like, oh, do you hate it? It's like, I didn't hate it. I did it for like almost 20 years. But
and you had your own law firm.
I did. Eventually, I started as an associate. I became a partner at a firm, and then I split off to work on my own firm because I have my own clients. And at that point, I was kind of doing the pursuit of comedy and seeing where it took me. And I couldn't do that when I was a partner at a firm with other people involved. You have billable hours. You have to carry your weight. And I said, well, if I want to pursue comedy, I need to have a lot more freedom. And I went on my own. So.
Okay, so now you're starting to pursue comedy, and it seems to me, observing you from the outside, that it's obviously like a lot of nights. So like
every night.
So you're working all day at the office, and then you're like doing stand-up every night. How did you make that work? Like, I'm exhausted thinking about it.
So when I was a partner at a firm, when I first started comedy, I was doing improv and stand-up, and I was managing bands. I had a music company still, and I was a partner at a law firm. So I wasn't full on comedy. I was newer in comedy, so I wasn't booked every night like I am now. But it was putting a lot of stress on me because every night my nights were all taken up with things that I enjoyed doing, and then I go back to work. And I enjoyed the law, but at that point in my life, I was a managing partner at a law firm where you're dealing with the stressors of employee issues or coworkers and the drama of the workplace. And then my body just kind of broke down. I had ulcers, and I had to stop drinking. I had to like change my lifestyle. And that's when I kind of started saying, well, okay, what can I remove from my life that isn't essential to me being happy or providing me shelter? And so I started going back and taking things out that weren't important to me. And I started to just narrow down to law and comedy, law and stand-up to be precise. So I stopped
had to make some like major sacrifices. You had to really.
I cut back from my music company, which I've run, Shisha Motor Productions, for 20 years now. Is our anniversary. I delegated the duties to other people to do that. and keep that intact and kind of just as an option for my life. And with law, I had a discussion with my partner, and I was like, hey, my law partner, I want to slow down. What about you? And he said, I don't want to slow down. I said, well, we need to separate. And I broke up the firm, and I went on my own in 2016.
Oh my God, how scary was that?
It was scary doing it, or having the balls to do this, because my partner was my old boss,
Mm-hmm.
and we split off from another law firm, and then he was kind of my mentor in comedy or in law. I mean, he was literally my whole life, and I respected him too much to like abandon him. He's an older guy. But I remember after that conversation, I never felt so light, and like I felt like the burden of everything, because it went a lot better than I thought it would. It could have gone really bad.
Do you think he had like an inkling that it was coming? Like, do you think he could feel it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He did, but he didn't understand what it was, because he's old school like my dad. He's closer to my dad's age, and he thought maybe it was because the business wasn't doing well, and I wanted to split up. And I don't think he even believed that I was going to pursue comedy. I thought he was just like, because when he met me, I was pursuing music.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, kind of like a father figure. He's like, okay, yeah, do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when we had that conversation and the freedom I felt afterwards, I wrote I had so much brain power left to do writing, to write jokes. I wrote 2 new jokes that night. I went to like a comedy show to just watch my friends. And it was the most freeing day out of my life. And then everything felt better after that. And then that's when I started to realize that comedy was bringing me joy. And law was actually more enjoyable at that point too, because I was just dealing with myself on my own. I can make all the rules. I can show up to work at 10:30 and not feel guilty. I could.
Mm-hmm. So if you were up late, like working with the comedy scene, then it wasn't like you were tortured by being at work at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And then other opportunities started to rise because of that, because now my schedule was more free.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying yes to everything again. And then I got opportunities to podcast. I got opportunities to have be a regular on a radio show, become a guest host on a national radio show, making money doing it. I mean, It was insane how the doors opened up when I just started to like focus on comedy.
You know, I did the same thing when I wasn't an attorney, but I had a full-time job in Chicago, and I just was like, I really want to write my first book. And I could see it was like a grind. Like every day I'd go to work, but I'd be like, God, I don't have any time to write. I need to write this book. It became like an obsession. And so when I quit my job and got rid of all my stuff and moved out to Iowa, where I knew like one person, it was like exactly how you described it. Like my mind opened up and I had so many ideas, and like the book wrote itself. So since then I've talked so much about like getting rid of all the distractions. If you really want to do something, like if you really, really want to do something, it could take something major. Like what you did is major. That's that's not quitting a job at AM, PM.
Well, the next step, which was what happened this year, was I stopped taking clients in 2019, new clients. I would only work with existing clients. And one of my biggest clients I did trial litigation. So I was actually a lawyer who went to court. Mm-hmm. And a large percentage of my money that I earned was from this one client. And February of 2020 was going to be my last jury trial. And the day that case settled, usually when you settle a case with a client, they give you a new case. Mm-hmm. And I had to write the email. It was less than a month ago. I was just like, hey, thank you for everything you've done for me for the last 10 years. But, and it was like, I almost remember writing it. Like, I was like, wow, like this is the last time I'm writing a status letter to a client that I've known since 2001.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, I'm not going to do this. And then, of course, the virus came. I'm like, wait, I didn't mean that.
Right. Well,
but no, I
did not have foreseen that coming.
No, I joke about that now, when I do podcasts and stuff because I'm not doing shows. But in reality, I'm happy with the decision, and like I know there's gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel, and all the shows that I do have now that are being canceled are being rescheduled for the summer. So
And you travel all over the country doing shows. You're not
I
just
do.
in Chicago.
Yeah, like I this week I was supposed to be in Oklahoma City. Last week I was supposed to be in LA. The last weekend I did shows in Chicago, but the weekend before that I was in Arizona performing at Innings Fest, which is like a huge music festival. Getting to share the stage with some of your heroes is pretty badass. So.
And I know, like, for all of us that are pursuing, you know, more creative avenues, like for me, I was like, I'm going to keep a day job till I see what happens with writing books and speaking and all that stuff. So how did you know, like, did you have like a cutoff? Like, okay, if I have this amount of money coming in, or if I book this many shows, then I know that that's a sign that I can like scale back on the law. I mean, did you have something set up in your mind, or did you just like make a decision like I can't do this anymore?
It was a little of both. I saw that my schedule was locked in, and I had a lot of opportunities for monetizing my career. I knew I would never make the money I made as a lawyer, but I also knew what expenses I needed to pay. And as soon as I saw that I had enough saved for even if 1 year of just horrible not getting booked and stuff like that, I'd be fine. I said, I got to close it. And my lease was up for my office space. And I said, I'm not going to renew. And it was scary. It still is scary because, well, now the lease is up now and I have to clean out my office, but it's hard with all this stuff going on. Yeah, like I thought that I saw that I had opportunities for stuff that I was shopping, and I figured I was going to be in LA a lot more for a couple shows that I'm pitching. And then I got a job writing for something here in Chicago. So I just felt like it was time to just give it your whole energy. And there were a lot of comedians I spoke to that I looked up to, and they said, look, you're funny, but you have to do this full time. No one's going to take you seriously if they know you're a lawyer too. And since 2016, I've been practicing, but not really. I've been only taking clients that I had, small cases here and there, but now I'm done. Like I have clients that are existing clients that they don't do litigation. It's not, doing like,
right, like you do my stuff, and it's not that big of a deal.
Forever. But the stuff that I enjoyed, which was trial work and stuff, that's gone. And who knows, maybe I'll go back to it. But right now I'm pretty happy with comedy, and I just miss making people laugh on stage.
Well, you'll get back there because this is going to pass,
of course,
by this summer. But I mean, it's fascinating to me, again, because you're an attorney. It's not like you gave up some like day job that you just hated and you were just doing to make money. That's like a huge career, and that shows such dedication. And I think to do what you're doing, you have to go all in. I mean, you have to go all in. And like, even for me, I had to make sure like my bills are really low, and, I have to spend a certain amount of money to pursue my dreams. I have to like think it all out because it's like a long shot in a way. It's, if you want to be a singer or a comedian or an actor or a writer, it is a little bit of a long shot, but you have to be dedicated to it. So when people talk to me, let's say about writing a book, I'm like, it's not about writing the book. It's like about the next 10 years of your life. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I've always been the one thing I like about myself is I don't overthink things. I just kind of go with it. And that's kind of something that changed in me when I was younger in college and law school. I was just always planning, always ahead of I'm like, okay, this is where I see myself in 3 months, where I see myself in 9 months, where I see myself in a year. I had a plan for every year of my life when I was in college and law school.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, I was a different person. And then in 1999, I lost a lot of friends that year. And I just started putting things in perspective that, you can't plan for things. You've just got to live your life. And now I can't think like 5 years ahead. I don't even know. I get anxious when people are like, where are you going to be on Friday? Like today's Monday. I'm like,
Right.
I'm serious.
No, I know.
The only thing I structure, and which is, it's really hard for dating, by the way, it frustrates people, but
Tell me about it.
I have shows. I only have my shows. And that's something that the only thing that if I'm on stage every night, at least once, sometimes 2 or 3 times a night, that's all that I need to make me happy.
So
and
what happens with dating and stuff? Like, what do you do about it? Or are you like me where you kind of just don't care?
I date, but I'm very open and honest about people saying, look, I'm not I'm working on a huge aspect of my life has changed, and my professional life is my priority right now. I don't need anything in my life that's going to cause stress or take time away from my personal growth. And for the most part, people are okay with it, at least at first. Then usually either a week in or 3 months in, they're like, this is horrible. Because you're going on dates with me at 5 o'clock or at 10:30. That's when I eat dinner. And so I dated a girl for a while and she was cool with it. But then, not being a priority in someone's life is something that I think people don't like. And that's why I try to date people who have other passions, or women who have children. For me, is very beneficial, because then their priority is their child or their children. And then I can just be like, just like my career is my passion, is my baby. I think about Gary Shandling a lot, because he was a mentor to so many people, and he was such a great comedian and a good writer, and he was so open-armed to up-and-coming comedians, but he never had children, and his whole life was comedy.
But let's also talk about like that he was such a deeply spiritual person. His meditation and his Buddhist practices were like a huge part of his life. And those diaries that he left, I mean, he was he was like almost like a mystic, like a monk. And so if he had that going on, plus the passion, the career, there really would be no room, I don't think, for like a family. When you have that going on inside of you, it's very difficult to pursue like having kids. And I don't know, it's like you're so complete inside that you don't think about stuff like that maybe like other people do. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, I think that I had a self-awareness in 1999 that changed me for good, because I found a journal that I kept in 1994 while I was in college, 1995. I was in college, and I kept a journal for like 3 months. And if it wasn't my handwriting, I would be like, this isn't me. It's not me. And it was so funny what my priorities were in my life and where I saw myself, now. Like nothing is the same. And it was funny because then I ended up pitching it as a blog, and it got accepted, and then I just never did it. Kind of stupid. But my point is that, yeah, like if someone like Gary Shandling has that profound self-awareness and profound self-awareness and spirituality that he found, I feel like he knows something we don't, right? And so,
it's the name of my next book. It's The Spiritual Edge. It's like, if you have that, if you can reach that point, it's such a gift, and you are very different from other people. But the connection you have with yourself, with God, or whatever you want to call it, is like priceless. You have an edge, and it's a spiritual edge. It's coming from another angle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I am envious of people who have that ability to do meditation. And it's something that's on my to-do list, as you know. But I do think that what he put out there in the world is enough to influence people like me, who are like, okay, I think I'm doing the right thing because it's bringing me happiness. more than, buying a Porsche, which was something
Right.
that is maybe would bring me happiness as well.
Yeah, but that's the transformation. Like that's what this whole thing is about. It's like like the lights come on and all of a sudden you realize like, this stuff that I cared about before, it doesn't even matter. It's like not even on your radar anymore, which I find totally fascinating.
Yeah. This stuff, it's funny because my best friend and I was in Las Vegas doing shows for a week at the Tropicana, and my best friend came out to see me, Colby Payne, who
Mm-hmm.
and we were just walking on the Vegas Strip, and then all of a sudden my picture pops up on the screen, the big screen at Tropicana, and saying live this week, and it was just like,
Oh my God.
I'll never forget in my life. My best friend is there, and I'm like, this is so weird. Like this was never something I pictured my life would do. I mean, when I would picture myself, even with arts, I was going to be a musician. I was like, okay, maybe I'll be a musician. And I loved comedy as a child, but I never thought I would do stand-up comedy at the same stage, that all my heroes are on.
Mm-hmm.
I performed with some of my comedy heroes and music heroes too. I do or baseball heroes. I get to work with one of my favorite baseball players of all time for the Cubs. So it's just something surreal that I never really planned. I just kind of like followed where the path took me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been how I live my life as an adult after I graduated law school. And it took me on a lot of cool paths. And I don't have any regrets, maybe some tattoos, but it's just something cool that happens if you just kind of trust, like you said in your book, your first book, it's like just someone's taking care of you. You just got to trust your instincts and where they're taking you. And so that's kind of how I've lived my life, for better or for worse. But I do like the fact that like I can't answer, I had a insurance company come to my law firm once, and they were just like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what would you do if you didn't have to worry about money? And I was just like, I don't know where I'm going to be on next week.
Paul, I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah. And I'm doing money isn't controlling anything I decide right now. In fact, the only things that I decide on doing that are money related are just to like ensure that nobody has to take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm set in that way for the most part. Like I live in the same place I lived for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine. I love it here and I don't want to move. I can probably get a bigger place, but I don't need it. I'm never home. Well, now I'm home all the time, but I'm never home.
Temporary.
Yeah.
But what you're describing is like, it's just the ultimate freedom, but that has to come from within you because we are not brought up to think that way. At least we were not brought up to be that way. We were brought up to like pursue your career and, work hard and make things happen and get married, have a family, have a house out in the suburbs. And well, you and I totally took a different path,
Right.
But I feel totally free and I can feel that you also feel free. And to me, that's like priceless.
Well, I think that the one thing that you and I have is because of that background, we have a drive that carries over with the arts that we pursue, because I do know that I have a grind that I'm not just fucking around. Oh, are you allowed to swear on these things?
Please swear. Please.
Okay. I'm not just messing, like going out there, making laughs and getting drunk with my friends after. Like,
no, this is your career.
I come home. Yeah, I come home after my shows. I rarely drink, and I never drink before my shows anymore. And then I like reflect on what the show was. I listen to my sets. I try to get better. I write, and then every day, not now, but every day I spend time for the business aspect of comedy, where I'm booking shows. I'm looking for a manager. I'm checking in with my agent, and I'm just doing everything. And I have the structure from being a lawyer. Mm-hmm. So none of that stuff has been thrown away. It's been part of my journey that's made me a better person, a better comedian, and hopefully a better, friend and son and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but that is part of it. It's not, if you're gonna pursue something like this seriously, it's all of that. It's the business aspect, it's the hard work, it's the sacrifice, it's like actually doing the work every single day. And that's what I want people to hear. It's not, you can't do it half-assed. I mean, you can, and maybe it would work out, but I feel like it's a very long road. It's the hero's journey. It's why I like writing about that, because people that go down that road and do like what you're doing, what I'm doing, they transform themselves through the actual journey. It's
Yeah.
like it changes you. And it's incredible, but it's very difficult at times. And like we talked about before, it's like you second guess yourself. You're like, am I crazy? Because we don't have a ton of models for this. I mean, all of my friends got married, have kids, or like pursued that life. And I couldn't, I feel intoxicated with my career.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely find more joy, and there are times where you're like, am I missing something? Like, is there something that I'm chasing? Especially stand-up comics, because we're broken individuals for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. All my friends are married, they have kids, and it's a journey. The comedy, people are like, you have to enjoy the process. And I remember when I first started comedy, they're like, you'll get there. And like I had goals. I'm like, I'm still a goal-oriented person, and I do multiple to-do lists every day. I have to-do lists that run my life.
Yeah, but they're so helpful. If
I love
a to-do list, everything's gonna get done.
But the process is so important. Like looking back on what I've done in the last year, I'm like, okay, I'm not exactly where I wanted to be, but like I also didn't set a goal for 2020 to do this, because I don't think like that. I don't say this is where I've got to be by 2021 or whatever. It's just
right, because you're just like riding the wave. You're just doing it.
Yeah.
You're living in the present moment, basically, is what you're describing.
For the most part, yeah. Like I like to live in the present, and I like to I would say the immediate present or the immediate future. Like I don't think beyond the week of what I need to do.
Unless
to
you're
get
booking
that.
shows.
Yeah, I mean, you're booking shows, but even then, it's kind of funny. Like I'll book a show, and then once it's booked for like May, I don't think about it until I get closer. I'm like, oh, I forgot to get a hotel, or I forgot to call him back. Like, so even then, and it's funny, that comes up all the time too, because people like, I get fans or friends who are like, when are you coming to Minnesota? I'm like, I don't know. It's on my schedule. And then I look up and it's like, oh, it's May 1st. Like it's coming up. I should probably.
Yeah, but that's what makes life exciting. I feel like I totally get it.
100%.
So I wanted to ask you.
Mad.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said people get mad sometimes. They don't understand. They're like, you don't even know when you're here. I'm like, I know it's May 1st, but like I didn't know, because I'm still thinking about when are my shows, what shows do I have coming up? So
right, I know, it's like people ask me where I live, and I'm like, I don't know.
yeah,
I can't answer. I can't see the future either for myself. I just take it day by day, but I like living like that. It feels exciting to me, and everything's fresh, and I'm like always totally stoked to do all this different stuff, so it doesn't get old to me. So I guess I live like that too. I just accept it.
Same.
So, okay, so this is what I wanted to ask you, because I've been thinking about it for a long time. I was in Vegas maybe, oh God, now I can't remember time either. I think it was like 6 months ago, maybe less, and I went and saw Seinfeld. And I had seen Jim Carrey came to Fairfield to give the commencement speech at the college there. So now I've seen two major comedians, and I've observed them because they both practice transcendental meditation. And I was thinking about like their crazy schedules because of you too, because you're like doing the same thing. So now I'm in Vegas and I'm watching Seinfeld, and he was talking about like all the shows that he's doing. Like he does not stop. The guy's a machine. Yeah. And he's in his 60s, right?
Yeah.
And he's got his TV show. I mean, he had the TV show, and now he has comedians in cars getting coffee, all this stuff. And he has said, like, I could not do this if I didn't meditate because it like recharges his batteries. So for you, I'm just curious, like, what do you do that allows you to like keep moving like that and traveling? I mean, you have to be doing something to be able to keep up with that. Late nights, airplanes, hotels, all of that. Yeah. And I know you stopped drinking, or kind of pretty much stopped drinking, which is helpful. Yeah. You have to be healthy. You're not going to be able to sustain that lifestyle.
Right. So two things. One thing I do is things that I do are things I don't do. I don't watch a lot of TV, or I watch like TV that's like, I'm very specific. I don't have Netflix, so that saves a lot of time downtime. And I read a lot, and I have an elliptical machine right here. You can see part of it right here. My bedroom. And when I'm on the road, I work out. I'll go walking, or I'll go on the elliptical machine or their treadmill, and I'll read while I'm on the treadmill. And that's like my 30, 40 minutes a day that is my time. And I'll do that. Or if I have my treadmill here, I'll watch a Cubs game. Today was supposed to be opening day. And or I'll watch a TV show. There's a couple shows that I watch. I watch Conan O'Brien every episode that he does on TBS. So I record them and I watch them. I watch 30 minutes. His show's 30 minutes, and during commercials, I'll read my book. So it's like that's my only.
That's how you get your head straight.
You should do yoga too. What's that?
That's how you get your head straight.
Yeah, reading and just time by myself, or walking. I like to drive a lot on the road trips. If I have the option of driving instead of taking a flight, I'll always take that, because those drives of listening to music or a podcast are so they recharge me every time.
I think you and I might be a little bit like twins.
Yeah, we've said that before.
That's really weird. No, but even like to asking you all these questions and hearing it, it's like, so it's just so familiar, because I feel exactly the same way. It's like making me laugh. Yeah, I drive all over the country because I like listening to music and like being in the car alone. It gives me time to think, and I've come up with my best ideas driving across the country.
And that's why, like, I have these little notepads, and I have them in my car. I have them everywhere I am, like, because I'll just come up with something, I'll write it down, and then I'll put it into my computer. Like, I love driving. And people are like, oh, do you want to, like, I'll do shows sometimes with other comedians. Like, do you want to drive together? And I'm like, if you need a ride, cool. But, like, I really like driving by myself.
Yeah, that's your time. So, okay, I always ask my guests the same question before we end. What is something that you thought you knew for sure and realized you were totally wrong? And I know you kind of had your life planned out a little bit before, which obviously that totally changed. But what's something specific that you were like, yeah, of course that's how it's going to be, and then it was totally the opposite?
Yeah, so that goes back to what I said, where reading my journals and where I pictured myself as an adult, being married, having kids, living in the suburbs, and that none of that, it made me happy or happened to me. Like I just assumed that's what everybody did, and that none of that came true, and for the better, I hope. I mean, I don't know if I'd be as happy in all that than I am right now. My guess is that, I hate to say that, living your best life, but I feel like I am right now. So
you are. You took a different path, and it takes guts. I mean, it's why I wanted to have you on the show in the first place. I want more examples of that, because we need each other. We need to talk about this, because it's like there's a mystery to this, because you didn't have someone before you, showing you the way. Our parents didn't do it this way. I don't have any friends that are doing this. So, but the majority of people around us, I think, went a different direction. So it's good to have conversations like this. So if someone's listening and they're like, yeah, I really want to be an actor, but I'm scared and I don't know what to do. And my parents, like, they want me to get married and do A, B, C, and D. It's like, no, man, you don't have to do that. You're an adult.
Right. Yeah, and it's never too late to start too. I mean, these are stuff that we did later in our lives. Like we weren't 23 years old, which
I
makes
was
it
like
harder.
34 when everything changed for me. I was a full-blown adult.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's a scary thing, but it's also fun, and the journey is half the fun too. Just like the drive.
Totally. Oh my God, thank you so much for being on the show. It was
Thanks
so
for having
fun.
me. Thanks for having me.
I like your magical mind.
Thanks. Yeah. Come tell people to come. You have to come on my podcast again too. So
I will. Oh, show us your t-shirts.
Oh, yeah. I'm selling these shirts now because I bought a bunch of these shirts that say "Better Call Paul."
I'm gonna put a link in the show notes to get the t-shirts, and I want a pink one.
I've got pink ones too, and they're super soft, by the way. They're like awesome quality because I care about my fans, unlike the other comedians. But no, just kidding. But I bought all these shirts for the road trip because I was going to be in 6 cities in March and April, and those shows are canceled right now or postponed. So to get rid of some of these, I'm selling them online on my website, paulfcomedy.com, and giving half the proceeds to other comedians who aren't as lucky as I am and struggling right now because all their source of income is gone.
I'll put the link in the show notes so people can order some t-shirts.
Awesome.
Thanks.
And tell them to check out the podcast too, singles only, and make us a tape.
I'll promote all of it. Thanks for being on the show. You're awesome.
Thanks, Al. You are.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining me this week. If you're digging what I'm throwing down, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or your favorite listening app. I'll be back next Wednesday with a brand new episode featuring another killer conversation about how to start living a transformed life.